He plays tennis without a racket. He once became a Mormon just to make more women happy. Horror movies watch him. He could in fact possibly be, maybe, one of the most interesting men on YouTube. You may not go on YouTube often, but when you do, you should watch Horror's Ball. Stay scared, my friend. Welcome back to The Ball, everyone. Film Review Edition. Today I'll be reviewing the 2013 Canadian film written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg entitled Antiviral. This film tells the story of Sid March, who is a young businessman who works for a company called the Lucas Clinic. And what they do is they offer obsessed fans the opportunity to purchase live injections of viruses from their favorite celebrities to put inside them so that they may heighten their intimacy with their respective favorite celebrity. Not only are there companies like this one, there are multiple companies like this in the film, but you quickly realize there are other places that sell things like this, such as local delis that sell actual, I guess you call them celebrity steaks, which contain basically cell particles that make up the steak, so you can actually eat your favorite celebrity, or at least a part of them, and they look a lot like I don't know, like tofu or spam. So we learn not only are you able to get injected with a virus, you can also partake in a nice celebrity steak. So quite an interesting climate during this film with obsessed fans and what they have the opportunity to do. And we see Sid's day-to-day life working here for the Lucas Clinic. Does a pretty good job of selling this, but he has a fellow co-worker named Derek, who is hinted that he is one of the better salesmen at the company. But anyway, both Derek and Sid, end up illegally with this machine that allows them basically to dodge a copyright, so to speak, of these viruses that normally would be caught by these companies, so that you're unable to duplicate them or you'll be able to get caught, which would prevent them from coming out on the black market, which Sid and Derek take part in. Who wouldn't in a situation like that? But eventually Derek gets caught, and gets fired and arrested for having such a machine. And we realize earlier that Sid, who always seems to be sick anyway, he's always walking around taking his temperature. You realize that he either has a very bad immune system, or he is in fact partaking in some of the viruses that he ends up taking home to sell on the black market. He doesn't get caught with this machine, so he continues doing that. And because of Derek's quick exit from the company, his boss sends him on quite the dream pickup, so to speak, as he is able to go extract a virus from, essentially at the time, one of the biggest celebrities in the world, and her name was Hannah Geist, a beautiful actress who has become ill. So he goes on the run to this hotel that she's at the time. I believe she's filming a movie or something. So he goes there, extracts the virus, and they show him that he proceeds then to do the smart thing, or the not so smart thing, and he puts a little bit of her inside of his veins. As is in the case of this movie, there's a lot of needles and blood and veins and all that. So if that bothers you, you're definitely going to have to look away quite often. Basically, why this is such a big event in this film is because pretty much everything spirals out of control after he ends up putting a little bit of Hannah inside of him. Of course, things escalate in the media as Hannah's illness, which is first perceived as a small flu virus or anything like that, or something like that, then escalates to a very serious illness, life-threatening illness. And it slowly becomes realized, particularly by characters within the black market that Sid is dealing with. They realize that he is also getting more and more sick, and they put two and two together and realize that he definitely has a little bit of this kind of now infamous virus inside of him, which of course leads to a lot of problems with people wanting a piece of him, so to speak. And that's really where this film goes, where we just watch him, his health deteriorate, his life deteriorate, and all while dealing with the public perception and media surrounding Hannah Geis and her health. For the remainder of the film, it's basically up to him to save his own life, as well as kind of putting together a mystery and pieces as to what's going on with how Hannah even extracted such a basically odd and fatal, potentially fatal virus. And that's the story of Antiviral. Get right to it. I think it's a brilliantly crafted social commentary on celebrity obsession, which of course is very relevant in the climate of the world that we live in today. It is conceptually amazing. The script is very well done and clever. A lot of good one-liners throughout the film. There's one that I remember, just such a lot of witty and kind of black humor sprinkled in throughout the film. There's one line I remember, the boss of the Lucas Clinic says, "Celebrities are not people, they are a group hallucination," which I thought was hilariously brilliant. So yeah, just a very superbly done script, very just well written. And then the next thing I just love about the film is the performance by what's his name, Caleb Landry Jones, who plays the lead role of Sid March. That's the redhead right there. I mean, he just completely carries this film, much like Catherine Isabelle did earlier in this year with another Canadian horror film, The Great American Mary. He just puts the film on his back and just runs with it. I love to see that type of performance of an actor. It's always great to see, and he just really makes this film work. When you first meet him right off the bat, you're left a little bit indifferent as to what your feelings are towards him, and by the end, really by midway through the film, if not before, I found myself really pulling for him and liking his character, and really hoping that he gets through all of this in one piece. And he is just an absolute joy to watch. As much of the film, he's just dealing with his own illness, it's just a pleasure to watch him. Every scene that he's in, he just I found his performance extremely riveting. And then you have the technical sides of this film, which isn't surprising that those elements ended up so well, being that he is, since I haven't mentioned it, in case you're wondering, he is in fact the son of the great David Cronenberg. And imagine the pressure anytime you're dealing with that in the family, dealing with that type of pressure that's on your shoulders when you get into the same career choices as a parent. Recently we've seen, Jennifer Lynch, the daughter of the great David Lynch, who I'm a big fan of. To me, her career hasn't worked out so well. I thought her film last year, Chain, was one of the worst films I've seen in a long time. But regardless, there's a lot of pressure on you to come in and to start making films. This is his first feature film. And when you come to the technical aspect of the film, I'm not surprised that it looks great. The cinematography is fantastic. It's shot extremely well. It has definitely a indie art house feel to it, but it looks really good. On this film, there's a lot of white in this film. It's very sterile. Everything is the offices at the Lucas Clinic. It's all the walls are white. The furniture, when you see him in his apartment, all his furniture is white. The walls, the floor, everything. So you have this cool balance of white, and then this is a pretty bloody film. So there's a lot of blood in here, and it's a great contrast seeing a lot of the blood on the white walls and whatnot. The soundtrack is really good. It's more of a minimalist approach, but it's very effective, kind of David Lynch-esque in that there's a lot of drones and feedbacky type noises, but it works really well. It's very effective. And speaking of that blood, so it's a bloody film. In particular, there's a lot of spitting out of blood and puking of blood, and I'm happy to report, very happy to report, that every drop of blood in this film, every single one, is real fake blood, no CGI whatsoever. yeah, I'm just very happy for that. It's great to see just some liquid splatter on the floor, splatter on the walls, which in some films is a growing trend of just taking a very lazy way out and doing CGI blood, which just baffles me. But speaking of baffling me, it really baffles me that this film hasn't gotten talked about more. There's been a lot of other films that have gotten a lot of talk. I'd say that so far this year in horror, well deserved too. The American Mary, of course, one of the best indie films of the year in horror. You got recently The Conjuring's getting a lot of hype, made a ton of money, in the theaters, deservedly so. Really good film. Even Lords of Salem, that came out, Rob Zombie's provocative film. Deserved all the talk it got for sure, but I just don't hear many people talking about this. One reason maybe that this release that I have here was released only in Region 2. This was back in the spring, I believe. And, excuse me. And it's finally, at last, next week, August 6th, it will be released here in North America for the first time. So I'm hoping that that will go hand in hand with more people seeing it and therefore creating more of a buzz, because it definitely deserves it. It just should be a film that should... I'm surprised, too, that it's not just more talked about because of the fact of the Cronenberg name in it. But hopefully, if you guys have not seen this yet, you will, in fact, heed my words, as you know is a wise thing to do, and go check this out. Don't just rent it, just fucking buy it. But finally, if you live here in the States or North America, it will be available next week on August 6th. I'm sure it'll be available to rent as well if you don't trust me enough to spend your full hard-earned money on this. But definitely one of my favorites of the year, if not my favorite so far, which says a lot with all these other great films that have been out there. Check it out. Antiviral, Brandon Cronenberg, well on his way to a great career. It's only one film, but a hell of a way to start. Yeah, just absolutely fantastic. Blew me away. Great to see the social commentary on, our obsession with celebrities, which is something that definitely bothers me, watching all the ridiculous people that we've made famous, a la Jersey Shore and whatnot. But there's a lot, and it has great replay value too. I watched this for the third time recently, showed it to Mrs. Headbanger, she loved it, and it definitely has great repeat viewing. You pick up on a few things, definitely some underlying little metaphors that you pick up on that you may have missed earlier. It's extremely well done. Really good ending too. I don't want to spoil anything I haven't yet, but it reminded me a lot of kind of like a Clive Barker. If Clive Barker were to make a film like this, maybe it would end that way. So just absolutely fantastic. And I think you can definitely see Brandon's father's influence on him, no question. It definitely has a feel of that particularly earlier David Cronenberg work, like Videodrome and The Brood and films like that. You can definitely see that, which is cool to see, having that influence on him, being able to translate that in his first feature-length film. Got to mention too, there is Malcolm McDowell is in this film. I would say more than a cameo. I mean, he plays a pretty prevalent role in the final act of the film. So cool, always great to see him. Very entertaining. Always puts on a good performance. So we want to see, guys, extremely original, intense, just well-crafted film, relevant today with the subject matter. Fantastic. Antiviral. Please check it out. Again, it comes out next week in the States and North America. As always, thanks so much for watching, guys. Very much appreciated. In case you missed it, I did another film review recently for James Wan's The Conjuring, and I did it with a very special guest, Lil Headbanger, which this is the first time we'd ever done a review together. So check that out if you missed it. And again, thank you for watching. I have a new episode of Horror's Ball coming very shortly. For the Horror Happy Hour and Horror's Ball, I'm the Headbanger. We'll see you next time. I'm out of here. Stay scared. Peace.